Chapter 3356. The Corner of the Sea was the name of the region where the Dragon Palace was located. Extending all the way to the corner of the sea, one would arrive at the real sea of mountains and seas. Wang Xian didn't know much about this part of the sea, nor had he ventured deep into it. But today, Wang Xian began his journey. "Daddy, I'm hungry. I want to eat seafood." In the depths of the sea, a figure was moving rapidly. On his head, a fist-sized little girl was flapping her wings and making sweet noises. "Sure, here's the seafood." The big and small figure was naturally Wang Xian. He took out a piece of meat and handed it to the little girl. "Hee hee." The little girl hugged it immediately and ate it with her mouth wide open. The little girl, Wang Lingling, was nurtured by the progenitor tree in Wang Xian's body. She grew by feeding on Wang Xian's blood. She couldn't be too far away from him. Similarly, the little girl's strength was closely related to Wang Xian. The advantage of being a half-living elf was having a strong assistant. The disadvantage was that he had to constantly feed her with his own energy, which would result in him needing more energy for his cultivation. However, feeding a little girl was nothing to Wang Xian. "It might take a year or two to travel through the ocean this time," Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he watched her eating and looking at the map. He had already set off for 3 days. After bidding farewell to the girls and giving instructions to the Dragon Palace, he entered the vast sea. The corner of the sea was located at the edge of the continent. But there was still a long way to go. Given Wang Xian's current speed, it would still take 1 to 2 years. Wang Xian's speed wasn't slow at all. It was comparable to a pinnacle universe venerable. "Let's go!" The little girl sat on Wang Xian's head and pointed ahead with her little finger. Wang Xian smiled and disappeared in an instant. With the little girl around, the journey wasn't boring. There were many powerful beasts in the sea where the wild beasts lived. Wang Xian had encountered Universe Venerable Level 9 Desolate Beasts, and even Pinnacle Universe Venerable Level Desolate Beasts. Given his speed and strength, he could easily kill Rank 9 beasts. But for Pinnacle Universe Venerable Beasts, he could only escape. Wang Xian's target this time was the Thunder Light Race. The Thunder Light Race wasn't close to the Dragon Palace. If he flew in a straight line, it might take more than 10 years. However, the good thing was that as long as one reached the interior of the continent, there would be a large number of teleportation formations that one could use to rush over. Now that Wang Xian was a Level 3 Universe Supremacy, he could directly rule over aquatic wild beasts below Level 3. After traveling in the ocean for half a year, he managed to rule over tens of thousands of Universe Venerable Level 1 and Level 2 Desolate Beasts, bringing a considerable amount of resources to the Dragon Palace. Boom, boom, boom! A year after Wang Xian traversed the ocean, a series of roars came from above. Wang Lingling, who was sleeping on top of Wang Xian's head, opened her eyes and looked up. "Huh! Did I bump into someone?" At this moment, Wang Xian was pleasantly surprised as he squinted his eyes. On the surface of the sea, a ship exuding powerful energy was in front of a deserted island on the sea. On the deserted island, there was a desolate beast with more than 10 heads that looked like a giant snake. It raised its head. Its body was over 100,000 meters in size. Streams of dark green venom sprayed out in all directions. There was no lack of experts on the dozen or so ships in the capital city. The two sides clashed together, causing terrifying explosions. "Dad, there's a fight going on!" Wang Lingling exclaimed in shock. "Let's go and take a look." Wang Xian made a move and flew upwards. Splash! After emerging from the surface of the sea, he scanned the battlefield with his dragon eyes. There were thousands of humans on the ships. The strongest had the combat power of a Level 9 Universe Supremacy, while the weakest had the strength of a Level 3 Universe Supremacy. And the wild beast they were attacking had the combat power of a Level 9 Universe Supremacy. "Quick, be careful of the venom of the muscular head snake. Those who are weak, retreat out of its attack range. Attack one of its heads with all your might. Kill one first." Loud shouts came from the front. One by one, the ships put up their defensive shields and retreated to the back. "This muscular head snake is very strong. 3 level 9 universe supremacy experts couldn't suppress it. It must have a powerful bloodline. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes sparkled. However, this also allowed him to witness the experts of the chaotic continent. Before he reached there, he had already encountered 3 level 9 universe supremacy experts. Splash! At this time, the muscular head snake suddenly raised 7 to 8 heads and endless waves surged behind it. The waves rose into the air and gradually turned dark green as they surged over. In an instant, dark green rain started to fall from the sky. TSK, TSK, TSK. The dark green rain fell on the surface of the sea and produced a terrifying corrosive sound. Even the seawater was corroded. The Tai Chi dragon plate on Wang Xian flashed and easily blocked the dark green rain. Be careful. All ships spread out and retreat further away. This muscular head snake is much stronger than we thought. An old man shouted at the front. Judgment of heaven and earth. At the side, a middle-aged man who looked like a scholar wrote a golden word, kill, in the void with a black brush. The word kill was directed at the muscular head snake. This attack is a little special. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly when he saw this attack. Retreat quickly. At this time, a ship retreated towards where Wang Xian was. Wang Xian looked over and did not avoid it. He stood on the water surface. Huh! There's someone here? On the ship, a middle-aged man noticed Wang Xian on the surface of the sea and was surprised. Brother in front, we are from Haotian City. The middle-aged man immediately introduced himself and looked around to see if there were any companions of Wang Xian around. I was passing by and saw that there was a battle over here. Hence, I came to check it out. I didn't mean to offend you. Wang Xian replied immediately when he saw the other party introducing himself. Splash! Huh! At this time, Wang Xian saw a humongous tail sweeping towards him from the sea ahead. The tail should have been formed by the law of water, but it contained horrifying power. There's an attack under the sea. Abandon ship and escape to the sky. An old man on the ship ahead shouted sternly. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment when he saw this. He extended his palms slowly and a dragon claw formed by the law of water attacked the tail. Boom! A dull collision sound came from the bottom of the sea and the sea was tumbling. However, the tail was crushed by Wang Xian's attack. Chapter 3357, Rumble. A dull, loud sound was heard. The tail that was attacking Wang Xian was defeated with a single move. What? That young man is an expert. SSS, he's so strong. In front of them, the people on the ship were shocked when they saw that the attack from the muscular head snake was broken. They looked at Wang Xian with astonishment in their eyes. Oh no, this guy is quite strong. It's hard to kill him. We've underestimated his strength. At this moment, the forehead of the middle-aged man who was holding a black brush and continuously writing the word kill in the air was covered with cold sweat as he roared with an ugly expression. Damn it, if we can't kill him this time, we won't have a chance anymore. An old man not far away had tens of thousands of sharp swords flying behind him. The sword in the middle was even sharper, and was at least an acquired cardinal treasure. The 3 rank 9 universe venerables had extraordinary strength, but they still couldn't do anything to the muscular head snake. Sir, are you interested in taking action? I'll give you a share of the spoils of war. On the ship, the people's expressions changed when they saw the 3 of them couldn't do anything to the muscular head snake. An old man hesitated for a moment before he looked at Wang Xian and spoke. Oh? Other than its corpse, what other treasures does the muscular head snake have? Moreover, it's not easy to kill such a powerful wild beast. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and asked. In the ocean, he had also encountered no less than 10 rank 9 universe venerables. However, only one of them died in his hands. That one was taken by surprise and he was lucky enough to kill it. The rest escaped back to their own holy kingdoms. It was already difficult to kill Wang Xian with his speed. The muscular head snake in front of him would be even more difficult to kill. Even if he took action, he couldn't stop it from escaping. Sir, the lair of this muscular head serpent is on that deserted island. In addition, the 13 heads of this muscular head serpent can be forged into a postnatal treasure. Its blood can also be used to create powerful talismans. The old man continued. If you're willing to take action, the 3 of us will definitely pay a hefty price for revenge. Is the lair here? Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he heard the old man's words. Sure. Wang Xian moved. He stretched out his arm and condensed a grayish dragon claw. Then, he attacked the muscular head snake. He attacked partly for the sake of the muscle-head snake, and partly for the sake of this group of people. He had been shuttling in the ocean for more than a year. Now that he had finally infiltrated the humans, he naturally had to find out some information. He wanted to familiarize himself with the interior of the great desolate continent. Brother, thank you for your help. Let's join forces and kill this bastard. At the front, the 3 experts from Haotian City had already received a telepathic message from their subordinates the moment Wang Xian struck. Their gazes swept over, and they looked somewhat excited. You guys hold back part of its head, I'll kill the rest. Wang Xian's dragon claw struck forward and was crushed by the 2 snake heads. He squinted his eyes and shouted softly. All right. The 3 people from Clear Sky City were slightly stunned. After a moment of hesitation, they nodded. No matter what, they only needed to restrain the few snake heads that they could restrain. This did not affect their safety at all. Swoosh! The muscular head snake had 13 snake heads. The snake heads were its main means of attack. The 3 of them could restrain 9 of the snake heads. The next 4 were much easier for Wang Xian. The unbeginning saint wings flapped. His body turned into a shadow and appeared above one of the snake heads. SSSSSSSSS. The snake head sensed that Wang Xian was above it. It immediately opened its mouth, and a water sword soared into the sky. Swoosh! Wang Xian's figure flickered and appeared in front of another snake head. Before the other snake head could react, Wang Xian's arm turned into a dragon claw and clawed at the bottom of the snake head. Swoosh! The terrifying force immediately made a circle on the snake head, and a large amount of blood splattered around. What a fast speed! When the 3 experts from Clear Sky City saw this, their pupils constricted slightly and they were shocked. Bam! SSSSSSSSS. One of the snake heads was chopped off by Wang Xian, and the other 3 snake heads attacked him simultaneously. These 3 snake heads were covered with protruding scales. They were like dazzling crystals and extremely sharp. Humph! Wang Xian snorted. He moved and instantly escaped the attack range of the snake heads. Swish! In the next moment, Wang Xian's doppelgangers appeared around him. There were thousands of doppelgangers and they attacked the 3 snake heads. SSSSSSSSS. The 3 snake heads opened their mouths and spat out green poisonous fog. Soaring cloud mist. Wang Xian murmured. The cloud mist shrouded the snake heads instantly. He ignored the poisonous fog and landed directly on one of the snake heads. Ka! The terrifying dragon claw tore his head apart. Bam! 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 The other 2 snake heads immediately came to support, but Wang Xian dodged them easily. Pft. In the cloud mist, the speed of the snake head was not even 1/10 of Wang Xian's. Soon, the other 2 snake heads were severely injured. SSSSSSSSS. The other 9 snake heads felt the pain and raised their heads to let out a violent roar. Finish off these 3. At this time, Wang Xian dashed out of the cloud mist and shouted at the middle-aged man holding the black brush. Awesome! The middle-aged man was amazed when he sensed Wang Xian severely injuring 4 snake heads in such a short time. Prison drawing! Trap! He let out a low roar and waved his arm. A picture was drawn to trap 2 of the snake heads. Swish, swish, swish! In an instant, countless green threads appeared around the 2 snake heads, entangling them. Great! Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he saw this. The dragon claw landed on the snake heads. Pft. The powerful attack severely injured the 2 snake heads again. The other snake head waved his arm and a dragon tomb was thrown at it. Ha! Great! Thank you, brother. Kill! The other two experts roared excitedly. The following battle was simple. With Wang Xian's attack, the snake heads were killed quickly. Holy judgment! As the middle-aged man drew characters in the air with his brush, a ray of holy judgment landed on the snake head and killed it completely. Awesome! The middle-aged man's attack method is similar to the sorcerer's array formation. However, it shouldn't be the same system. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes sparkled. Ha! I'm Scholar Fan from Haotian City. Thank you for your help. After the snake head was killed, the middle-aged man cupped his hands at Wang Xian and thanked him. Apex. Chapter 3358. Everyone is a dragon. Chapter 3364. Everyone is a dragon. I'm Don Wenshan from Haotian City. Thank you for your help. I'm Hao Kongyan from Haotian City. Thank you for your help. The other two old men flew over and cupped their fists at Wang Xian with smiles on their faces. Wang Xian! Wang Xian cupped his fists at them. You're welcome. I was just passing by. Are you from the ancestral dragon lineage? Your attack is similar to the ancestral dragon lineage. Fan Wen Scholar asked Wang Xian curiously. Ancestral dragon lineage? Wang Xian was taken aback. Subsequently, he shook his head and asked doubtfully. No. Is the ancestral dragon lineage in this region? Yes and no. Experts from the ancestral dragon lineage are roaming around now. I only noticed that your attack is similar to a divine dragon's. Fan Wen Scholar said with a smile. Brother Wang Xian, without your help, we wouldn't have been able to kill the muscular head snake. How about you take half of the resources from the muscular head snake? The old man called Don Wenshan said to Wang Xian. Sure. Wang Xian nodded his head. Getting half of the spoils of war was already quite a lot. We'll get our men to deal with the corpse. Where are you heading to? Fan Wen Scholar continued to ask Wang Xian. Roaming around. I'm preparing to settle some matters with the lightning race. Wang Xian smiled and replied. Oh? The lightning race is still a long way from here. Brother Wang Xian, you can use the teleportation formation in Haotian City to travel there. Fan Wen Scholar said. Sure. Wang Xian nodded. Haha, great. Brother Wang Xian, please board the ship. Fan Wen Scholar invited him. Wang Xian didn't reject him. He followed beside him and flew to the ship. Fan Wen Scholar, your attack technique is a little unique. What is it? Wang Xian asked hesitantly when they arrived at a hall on the ship. Attack technique? This is the cultivation method of the sages. The sage's cultivation method is similar to the sorcerer's formation method, but there are some differences. The Heaven Unite sage once said that everyone in the world can become a sage. I hope that one day, I can reach that step and die without regrets. Fan Wen Scholar said with flickering eyes. Heavenly Fusion Sage. Wang Xian murmured. The Heavenly Fusion Sage was the strongest existence among the sages and was also one of the invincible experts in the universe. Haha, the person I respect the most in my life is the Heavenly Unity Sage, and the person I admire the most is the leader of the ancestral dragon bloodline. Scholar Fan Wen said with a laugh. The leader of the ancestral dragon bloodline? Wang Xian murmured. Brother Wang Xian, how long have you been in seclusion? Scholar Fan Wen saw his confused expression and said with a smile. The leader of the ancestral dragon bloodline is also a hero of his generation. He said that everyone can be like a dragon, and all living things can be like dragons. If this leader can break through to the universe ruler realm, then the divine dragon bloodline might really be able to reach the peak under his leadership. Everyone can be a dragon, and all living things can be dragons. Upon hearing these words, Wang Xian was slightly shocked. Brother Wang Xian, this is half of the resources of the muscular head snake. You can check it out. Not long after, Hao Kongyan walked over and handed him a spatial ring. All right. Wang Xian took it over and checked it before nodding his head. Come, Brother Wang Xian. This is the good wine of our Haotian city, and some delicacies. Let's go to the deck and have a drink. Scholar Fang Wen gestured to Wang Xian after settling the resources of the muscular head snake. All right. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. As a newcomer, Wang Xian had a lot of things to understand. The ship sailed towards the Haotian city. Haotian city was a city near the ocean. This city was built by an expert of the sage bloodline. That expert had the strength of a pinnacle universe supremacy. Now that he had fallen, his descendants and disciples were in charge of this city. The sage bloodline belonged to the pinnacle race in the universe. The body of a sage and the techniques of a sage were the reasons why they could stand at the pinnacle of the universe. From Scholar Fang Wen, Wang Xian obtained a lot of information that he couldn't get from the artificial intelligence system. For example, the specific situation of the sage bloodline. The sage bloodline usually passed down from generation to generation in the form of a master and disciple. They didn't have high restrictions on their disciples. Many of the sage bloodline even left the sage bloodline after the death of their master. This also resulted in the disciples of the sage bloodline being scattered all over the chaotic continent. Other than the sage bloodline, Wang Xian also inquired about the divine dragon bloodline, the ancestral dragon bloodline, and the sacred dragon bloodline. The current leader of the ancestral dragon bloodline had already reached the pinnacle universe supremacy realm. He even had the battle record of killing a universe lord. He had endless potential. However, he hadn't been able to take the final step to the universe lord realm for a long time. This led the ancestral dragon leader to issue an order for all the disciples of the ancestral dragon bloodline to travel and train. One day, when a member of the divine dragon bloodline could step into the universe lord realm, all the disciples of the ancestral dragon bloodline would return and rebuild the glory of the divine dragon bloodline. When Wang Xian received this news, he was slightly shocked. As long as the ancestral dragon bloodline didn't have a universe lord realm, the disciples of the ancestral dragon wouldn't return. This was equivalent to breaking up a complete force just to pursue the pinnacle. This ancestral dragon is really bold, Wang Xian murmured. He was very respectful of the ancestral dragon bloodline. If one didn't reach the pinnacle, it would be useless. What surprised Wang Xian was that within the ancestral dragon bloodline, there were more than 200 purebred divine dragons. This was mainly the accumulation of hundreds of millions of years of development. The purebred divine dragons married and gave birth to purebred divine dragons. Although 200 was not a small number, it was incomparable to the peak of the divine dragon clan. In the pinnacle of the divine dragon clan, there were hundreds of thousands of purebred divine dragons. Currently, the divine dragon clan is mainly led by the radiant divine dragon. All of them have joined the angel clan. It is said that the divine dragon king is the mount of one of the sons of the angel father. Scholar Fang Wen shared some of the information he knew to Wang Xian. When he received this news, he had mixed feelings. In order to rebuild the glory of the divine dragon clan, there was a senior of the divine dragon clan who dispersed the entire clan. They would not return until they reached the universe lord realm. There were also divine dragon experts who joined the pinnacle clans in the universe and became their divine beasts. Two completely different choices, two completely different paths. Everyone should be like a dragon. All living creatures can become dragons. If there's a chance, I must have a drink with the ancestral dragon leader. Wang Xian thought to himself as he revealed a smile. Raising his wine cup, he toasted Scholar Fang and the others in front of him, and downed it in one gulp. Chapter 33:59 Haotian City was a city near the ocean. The entire city was guarded by 5 rank 9 universe venerables. In the surrounding area, Haotian City still had a lot of prestige. The entire city was huge. Other than humans, there were also other living creatures. We're here. Brother Wang Xian, do you want to stay in Haotian City for a while? After traveling on the ocean for half a year, the ship docked at the edge of the coast. In front of them was the vast Haotian City. Nah, I'll head to the Thunderlight tribe directly. Thank you, Brother Fang Wen and everyone, for your hospitality for the past half a year. 8 months later, Wang Xian arrived at Haotian City on the ship and cupped his hands in gratitude. Haha, brother Wang Xian, let me bring you to the teleportation formation. Scholar Fan Wen led Wang Xian towards Haotian City. Goodbye, brother Fan Wen. Wang Xian cupped his hands in greeting and smiled as he arrived at the teleportation formation. Have a safe journey. Scholar Fan Wen waved at him. Wang. The teleportation formation was activated and Wang Xian disappeared. When he appeared again, he was already in another city. This was a gloomy city surrounded by skeletons. Wang Xian did not linger and teleported to the next city. The Thunderlight tribe was very far from here. It would take at least a decade to fly. Even if he used the teleportation formation to transit, it would still take a few days. He quickly made his way from one city to another. 3 days later, he arrived at a city and squinted his eyes. This was a technologically advanced city that was full of fantasy. All kinds of spaceships were flying in the sky. There were more than a dozen huge purple buildings in the entire city that reached the clouds. Among the clouds, there were thunderbolts that struck the city to maintain the energy of the entire city. Welcome to Sky Thunder City. We have automatically formed a temporary identity for you. Please abide by the rules of Sky Thunder City. Otherwise, you will be punished by Sky Thunder City. A mechanical voice was heard. Wang Xian looked around and walked straight ahead. Sky Thunder City, the nearest city to the Thunderlight tribe. The population of the entire Sky Thunder City is about 300 million. Wang Xian headed straight for the exit. His target this time was this place. The Thunder Ray race wasn't very far from this city, which had been built by a peak cosmos supremacy. Although the city was a technological city, the people living in it did not follow the technological route. Instead, it was all sorts of cultivators. Among them, most of them were lightning attribute cultivators. This was because the sky above the Sky Thunder City was densely covered with thunderclouds. This was a special domain. The thunderclouds covered an extremely large area. In the sky above, each cloud contained a terrifying power of lightning. The Thunderlight race was born in these thunderclouds and established a powerful race. The Thunder Ray race did not have a large population. They had about 10 billion disciples and were not weak at all. Wang Xian walked out of the teleportation formation and scanned his surroundings as he walked around the city. When he saw a flying car for sightseeing around the city, he spent some city coins to ride on it. There were many humans, demonic beasts, and other creatures on the bus. There was a type of creature that had a sharp purple nose and a pair of purple wings on its back. They were the disciples of the Thunder Ray race. The entire Sky Thunder City was huge. There were all sorts of things, even academies. The Sky Thunder City did not belong to any race and was a neutral force. They were not weak. The City Lord had the strength of a peak cosmos supremacy. Even if the experts of the Thunder Ray race came here, they would have to abide by the rules. After touring the city, Wang Xian took out the Universe AI to search for some information. The Great Elder of the Thunder Ray race was his target this time. The 27 lightning feathers of the unbeginning sacred wings were still with him. During the half a year on the ship, he had also gotten Scholar Fang Wenxing to confirm some information for him. After all, the lightning feathers of Laming had been snatched away tens of millions of years ago. After confirming, the Great Elder of the Thunder Ray race from tens of millions of years ago was still the Great Elder. However, Wang Xian did not know where exactly he was. First, I have to confirm the location of the Great Elder of the Thunder Ray race and confirm if the lightning feathers are still with him. Then, I have to snatch them away. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. Currently, Wang Xian's strength could easily suppress the Great Elder of the Thunder Ray race. However, it was still insufficient to face the entire Thunder Ray race. The Thunder Ray race had experts with the strength of a peak cosmos supremacy. With such a strong foundation, Wang Xian should not be a match for them. This is going to be troublesome. I have to find a disciple of the Thunder Ray race to find out more about the situation. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. With a move of his body, he immediately flew in the direction of the Thunder Ray race. After flying for more than 10 minutes, and leaving the boundaries of the Sky Thunder City, Wang Xian looked up at the thunderclouds in the sky. In this region of thunderclouds, the lighting was slightly dim. From time to time, lightning would illuminate the entire starry sky. Within the dense thunderclouds, one's vision would be greatly affected. Moreover, there were also some wild beasts within the thunderclouds. The thunderclouds not only nurtured the powerful thunder ray race, but also other powerful wild beasts. It was especially so in the depths of the thunderclouds, where there were even more terrifying wild beasts. Some wild beasts could even threaten peak cosmos supremacy experts. As Wang Xian flew into the thunderclouds, he felt as though he had entered a huge and unfamiliar world. From time to time, lightning would suddenly appear in the surroundings. It was difficult for the weak to survive in such a place. Dragon eyes! Wang Xian's dragon eyes rotated as he scanned his surroundings and flew straight ahead. Crackle! While he was flying, terrifying lightning would erupt in the surroundings from time to time. Some lightning was strong while others were weak. At this moment, Wang Xian suddenly saw a lightning that seemed to be solid. When he saw this lightning, he was slightly stunned. With a swift move, he flew straight ahead. Wang! Grabbing the lightning in his hand, Wang Xian could feel a strong force of lightning coming from it. TSK, this is a treasure. An acquired spiritual treasure. How could I encounter one so easily? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and revealed a surprised look. He kept it and continued flying forward. Chirp, chirp, chirp. After flying for more than 10 days in the thunderclouds, Wang Xian suddenly heard the chirping of a bird from his right. The ear-piercing sound had a strong penetrating force. Wang Xian focused his gaze. This is the thundercloud condor! Wang Xian squinted his eyes. After more than 10 days without encountering any members of the Thunder Ray race, he had encountered a rare thundercloud condor. The thundercloud condor was one of the wild beasts that lived in the thunderclouds. It was an extremely rare wild beast with terrifying speed. Chapter 3360. This type of thundercloud vulture is perfect as a mount. Wang Xian stared at the thundercloud vulture that was flying at high speed on his right. He moved and disappeared instantly. Wang! In the next instant, he appeared in front of the thundercloud vulture and wrapped a chain around it. Chirp, chirp. The thundercloud vulture was unable to put up any resistance, and was easily restrained by Wang Xian. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The thundercloud vulture was not very big. Its wingspan was only about 4 meters. It looked at Chu Xian with fear in its eyes. Over here, I can hear the thundercloud vulture. Hurry up! At this moment, a voice came from the void behind him. Wang Xian looked back with the chain in his hand when he heard the voice. Huh! Behind him, 2 old men flew over. Their eyes flickered when they saw Wang Xian restraining the thundercloud vulture. Who are you? Do you know that this is the territory of the Thunderlight race? The 2 old men squinted their eyes and asked Wang Xian. Yes. Wang Xian looked at them with a smile. In the next instant, his figure disappeared. Oh no, be careful! The 2 old men were shocked when they saw Wang Xian vanishing in an instant. They yelled immediately. Wang! Soul capture! However, a voice sounded in their minds at this moment. Both of them trembled slightly. I've finally met an expert from the Thunderlight race! Wang Xian smiled and mumbled. The 2 Thunderlight race disciples with level 7 venerables were under his control in an instant. Waves of information entered Wang Xian's mind. He squinted his eyes and looked through them bit by bit. After 10 minutes, Wang Xian opened his eyes. He hesitated for a moment before he waved his arm to erase the memories of the 2 and threw them to the ground below. Wang Xian didn't kill them because he didn't think they were bad people. He wouldn't kill the innocent if he had no feud with them. The great elder of the Thunderlight race is in their lair. This is going to be troublesome, Wang Xian mumbled. According to the information he had received, the great elder of the Thunderlight race was in charge of everything in the lair. In the absence of the patriarch of the Thunderlight race, he would be the person in charge. The possibility of him sneaking in was 0. Furthermore, Luo Yunyang had learned from the two Thunder Ray race disciples that the Thunder Ray race had a total of 8 peak supremacies. Moreover, they specialized in speed. Wang Xian wouldn't even be a match for 2 or 3 of them. We have to find another way to get inside. Wang Xian stood there and pondered. This makes me feel like a thief. However, Lei Yu was originally snatched by the great elder of the Thunderlight tribe. I'm just snatching it back. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he thought of an idea. From the memories of the 2 members of the lightning race, he had found a way to infiltrate the lightning race. 10 days later, the Thunderlight tribe would be recruiting disciples. As long as one was younger than 20 epochs and passed the test, one could join the lightning race. Epoch was the division of age in the primordial continent. Because there were many places in the great wilderness continent that didn't have day and night, the calculation of age was different from other places in the universe. 1 epoch represented 100,000 years, and 20 epochs represented 2 million years. There was no sun or moon in the great desolate continent. Usually, an expert could spend 1,000,000 years in seclusion. As for the great wilderness continent, 20 epochs could be as short as a snap of the fingers. It could be understood that 20 plus yuan was equivalent to 20 years for most living beings. In other words, it was the teenage years. Of course, this was just Wang Xian's own division. In fact, there were many old monsters who had lived for billions or even billions of years in the great wilderness continent. However, 30 billion years was a limit. To live for more than 30 billion years, one had to possess the strength of heavenly yuan creation realm. Moreover, 30 billion years was a cataclysm. Wang Xian's current age was basically the age of drinking milk in the great wilderness continent. Naturally, this age limit had nothing to do with him. Age isn't a problem. However, it won't be easy to sneak in with my strength, Wang Xian pondered. With his current strength, even if he were to hide, the lightning race would still be able to detect him. Once he was discovered, he would definitely be surrounded and attacked. This is a treasure! After pondering for a few minutes, he moved his palm and took out a piece of silvery white metal. This piece of metal could isolate everything. While isolating himself from the outside world, it could also isolate him from the outside world. This was a very useless item. It was very powerful, but also very weak. He placed the piece of metal into his body. With a thought, the metal covered his entire body. Soon, from the outside world, Wang Xian's aura was rapidly decreasing. However, his body was gradually covered by lightning. Wang Xian now had 22 lightning feathers. He could still control the power of lightning. In addition, the silvery white metal could not isolate the power of his physical body. He used the silvery white metal to isolate the other 8 attributes in his body, leaving only the lightning attribute that he had yet to fully master. This caused his strength to be reduced to the combat strength of a rank 6 universe supremacy. He could also unleash all his strength. However, once he unleashed it, it would mean that his strength would be exposed. If he only used the lightning attribute, it would be impossible to detect it. This strength is still quite strong. However, even the silvery white metal can't conceal the strength of my physical body. So be it, a rank 6 universe supremacy. Wang Xian murmured. To possess the combat strength of a rank 6 universe supremacy in less than 20 eras from his birth, he would definitely be considered a top genius in the great wilderness continent. Perhaps only the descendants of some races could achieve this. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to achieve this. However, he had no other choice. When the time came, he just had to get close to the great elder of the thunder race, get the lightning feathers, and escape. What a hassle! Wang Xian chuckled. With a move, he flew towards Sky Thunder City. The recruitment of disciples of the Thunder race would be held in Sky Thunder City. All he had to do was to wait in Sky Thunder City. After flying back to Sky Thunder City, Wang Xian found a luxurious villa and rented it. If I want to act, I'll have to act more like it. I'll tame this thundercloud vulture. Lying in front of the swimming pool, Wang Xian summoned the thundercloud vulture and began taming it. Taming a rank 6 universe supremacy thundercloud vulture was a piece of cake for him. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Soon, the thundercloud vulture lay beside Wang Xian respectfully. This time, he would pretend to be a genius and blend into the thunder race. Hopefully, nothing would happen. Otherwise, he would have to change his method. Wang Xian thought to himself. His eyes flickered as he waited for the time to come. Chapter 3361. The recruitment of disciples by the Thunderlight tribe was a grand event in this region. It was especially so for the living beings in the Thundercloud region. In this Thundercloud region, the strongest living beings were the Thundercloud tribe, followed by the Sky Thunder City and the other cities. However, compared to the Thundercloud tribe, the Sky Thunder City was still a far cry from them in terms of strength and inheritance. There were at least 50 to 60 billion living beings in the Thundercloud region. This was especially so because this region was very suitable for experts with lightning attributes to cultivate. Hence, many of them came here to cultivate. Every time the Thunderlight tribe recruited disciples, many people would come here. After all, compared to freedom, there were many benefits to having a strong backing. Within the Sky Thunder City, there were also many residents who hoped that their children could join the Thunderlight tribe. Hurry, it will start in 10 minutes. Let's hope I can pass the assessment this time. Previously, the minimum strength requirement was a 4th order God Emperor. I wonder what the minimum strength requirement will be this time? This doesn't just depend on the minimum strength. It also depends on your bloodline and physique. Those who can't fight 2 levels higher than them will probably be eliminated. 10 days later, Wang Xian arrived at the selection venue of the Thunderlight tribe. At this moment, there were already many people gathered in the surroundings. Some young men walked towards the huge venue in front. There were at least 10 million people in the entire square. Around the venue, there were all sorts of spaceships or experts hovering on treasures, waiting for their children to take the assessment. Wang Xian looked at the venue and saw a stone at the entrance. There were rings on the stone, making it look very mystical. You are older than 20 eras. Get out now! At this moment, he saw a young man walking in. However, when he passed by the stone, the rings on the stone were glowing. A middle-aged man sitting at the side stared at the young man and warned him coldly. Sir, I was cultivating in seclusion and missed the previous disciple recruitment. I'm strong enough. The young man's expression changed drastically as he explained immediately. Get out. If you are older than the age and want to join the Thunderlight tribe, go to the Thundercloud region. The middle-aged man continued coldly. This caused the young man's expression to change drastically. Seeing so many people staring at him, he left with his tail between his legs. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the area and walked straight in. No matter which race recruited disciples, not all experts were accepted. Compared to experts, they valued loyalty and potential more. This was also to prevent other forces from infiltrating their race. Recruiting young disciples could cultivate loyalty, and they could pass all kinds of tests to test their loyalty. However, if some older ones suddenly appeared and joined their race, they would basically not agree to it. Even if he agreed, he wouldn't give him an important position. When Wang Xian entered, the stone with growth rings did not react at all. Clearly it had passed the test. He glanced around and smiled. With a single glance, the strongest among them was an 8th Order Void God Emperor. In fact, reaching the Void 8th Order God Emperor realm in less than 2 million years was already an amazing feat. This required a powerful bloodline, or a powerful physique, as well as a powerful inheritance. If these people were placed in the continent encirclement starry sky, they would all be considered rare geniuses in billions of years. However, this place was different from the continent encirclement starry sky. Here, anyone could jump levels to fight. There were also many who could fight 2 levels higher than them. Even those who could fight 3 levels higher than them weren't that rare. After all, this was the center of the universe, the center of the chaotic continent. Many of the disciples from the peak races could fight 3 levels higher than them. Wang Xian stood in the field and waited quietly. 111. Not long after, a dozen figures appeared in a teleportation array in front of the field. These figures had a pair of wings on their backs. Their noses were a little sharp, and they were about 2 meters tall. The arrival of a dozen experts from the thunder light rays shocked the field. The test is about to begin. There's no minimum requirement for this test. It's a comprehensive test of potential, understanding of the lightning attribute, and strength. The middle-aged man in the middle looked at all the participating disciples with a sharp gaze. This is an opportunity for us. We must succeed. Some of the participants were elated and clenched their fists tightly. 1. In the next moment, the leading expert from the thunder light race waved his arm and a thundercloud shrouded everyone in it. Wang Xian lifted his head and his eyes shone. This was a postnatal cardinal treasure. The test begins. As the leading middle-aged man finished his sentence, lightning bolts descended from above. A bolt of lightning landed on Wang Xian, but he didn't react at all. Arg! However, cries of agony could be heard from the surroundings. One by one, the young men who fell to the ground were sent out by the experts from the thunder light race with a wave of their arms. Crackle! 5 seconds later, another bolt of lightning landed on Wang Xian. The strength of this lightning was about the same as his scraping sand. However, another batch of people fell to the ground. The third round continued. By the 5th round, there were only slightly more than 1,000 people in the field. At this moment, other than Wang Xian, the rest were in a sorry state. Eh? Wang Xian stood there without any change in his expression. This attracted the attention of the experts from the thunder light race in front of him. They were shocked. Around them, some of the participants also looked at Wang Xian in shock. Good, not bad. 1,103 of you have passed the test and can join the outer sect of the thunder light race. Follow us for some simple tests. The experts from the thunder light race were satisfied as they spoke to them. Follow us into the teleportation formation. The experts from the thunder light race immediately entered the teleportation formation and disappeared. Let's go over. Over 1,000 disciples who had passed the test followed behind them excitedly. They were teleported through the teleportation formation. 1. Wang Xian entered the teleportation formation and immediately felt the surroundings changing. In front of him was a palace. The entire palace was suspended in the middle of a thundercloud. They were on a high platform in front of the palace. On this high platform, there were many disciples from the thunder light race. There were tens of thousands of disciples from the thunder light race in the surrounding area. When Wang Xian arrived, he felt a strong suction force. His eyes were burning with passion as he stared in front of him. An old man from the thunder light race was sitting in the center. That familiar feeling came from where the old man's wings were. The feather of thunder was there. Chapter 3362. That old man is the great elder of the thunder light race. Wang Xian stared at that old man with excitement in his heart. His eyes flickered as he pondered on how to strike. Great elder! At this time, the dozen experts from the thunder light race flew to the front of the old man and cupped their fists. Did you meet any good seedlings? The old man had a head of white hair and even the tip of his sharp nose was white. He opened his mouth and asked plainly. Great elder, there is indeed a seedling this time. One of them is a young man whom we have yet to test. As for the rest, they are all 9th order god emperors. The middle-aged man in the lead reported. Oh? Lei Lianyin did not test his strength in the past few trials. It seems like his strength has reached the 1st order of the universe supremacy realm. Such talents are rare. The great elder was pleasantly surprised. He chuckled as he swept his gaze across the 1,000-odd disciples on the platform. His eyes finally landed on Wang Xian. His eyes flickered as he waved his hand and a round disc appeared. A bolt of lightning covered the disc slowly. Ha! Wang Xian stood there and lowered his head slightly when he saw this scene. He wasn't afraid of being found out. SSS this? Suddenly, the great elder, who was looking at the disc, froze as he stared in disbelief at the content displayed on the disc. He lifted his head and looked at Wang Xian with shock in his eyes. Other than that disciple, let the rest have a spar. The great elder took a few deep breaths and pondered for a moment before ordering the dozen people in front of him. Yes. The dozen experts from the Thunderlight race who were in charge of recruiting disciples nodded their heads. All of you are now outer sect disciples of the Thunderlight race. Next, you will be ranked according to your strength. Make good use of this opportunity. The stronger you are and the higher your ranking is, the more rewards you will receive. The middle-aged man in charge of recruiting disciples said to Wang Xian and the rest. The great elder sat there, gently knocking on the chair, his expression changing slightly. He passed the disc to an old man beside him. Huh! The old man kept his eyes closed after taking a glance. When he saw the disc that the great elder passed to him, he was taken aback. When he saw the information on it, his eyes narrowed. Is this real? How is this possible? The old man exclaimed in a low voice in shock. This is indeed unimaginable. Such a genius is too rare. The great elder said. Why did he join our lightning race? With his strength, it's impossible that he doesn't have a powerful background. The old man said with his eyes wide open. There is another possibility, and that is that he obtained a powerful inheritance. However, this possibility is very small. The first elder guessed. It is indeed too strange for him to want to join our lightning race. Other factions would definitely nurture such a disciple like him like a treasure. There's no way they would let him go, let alone allow him to join our Thunder Ray tribe. There's no way we wouldn't want such a disciple. The old man said slowly. Let's investigate the situation first. The first elder's eyes flickered, his heart filled with doubt and shock. The strongest is a Void 9th stage God Emperor, and his control over lightning techniques is only average. This time, it is even worse than the previous time. Previously, there was at least a Void Peak God Emperor. Indeed, it seems like this batch of disciples isn't good enough. On the high platform, the disciples were sparring. Around them, some older disciples were watching and discussing softly with smiles on their faces. The lightning race was divided into outer and inner disciples. Those whose combat power was below the universe paragon level would be considered as outer disciples. At the front, there was a group of inner disciples watching him. They had their arms crossed and were looking at him from above. The sparring ended quickly. However, Wang Xian wasn't called up yet. This is a little boring. I thought it would be fun for the new disciples. Sigh. At the front, a young girl from the lightning race shook her head and commented in boredom. The test for the new disciples has always been boring. We're just here to stand our ground. A middle-aged man chuckled and said to her, Senior brother, how much longer before it ends? I'm preparing to slip away. The woman glanced around and said in a low voice, Junior sister, the elder is in front. The middle-aged man reminded her softly. It's fine. The great elder is quite nice. He won't beat me up. The girl giggled softly. The middle-aged man shook his head helplessly when he heard her. This junior sister of his was exceptionally talented. Apart from the great senior brother, she was the most talented genius in the lightning race. At such a young age, she already possessed the strength of a third-order universe paragon. In the future, there was a high possibility that she would become the great senior sister of the lightning race. The seniority among the disciples of the lightning race wasn't based on who joined the race first, or their age. Instead, it was based on their strength. Moreover, the master of this junior sister was the junior sister of the great elder. Many elders in the lightning race doted on her. The girl shrunk her head and was about to retreat from the back. The great elder and the rest watched every move of the girl from the high platform. The great elder of the lightning race squinted his eyes. Xingyun, come over here. Spar with a disciple, he said to the girl who was about to slip away. Huh! When the girl heard the great elder calling her name, she turned around and lowered her head immediately. Huh, what? Go to the high platform and spar with a new disciple. The great elder looked at her and smiled. Oh? The old man at the side chuckled when he saw the arrangement. He mumbled to himself. That's good too. Let this last know how high the sky is. You want me to spar with a new junior brother? Are you serious, Great Elder? The girl lifted her head with a shocked expression. She widened her eyes and said, I can defeat this group of junior brothers with just a finger. Great Elder, are you kidding me? This disciple, come out and spar with her. If you defeat her, you will be rewarded with an acquired spiritual treasure. At this time, the Great Elder looked at Wang Xian and instructed him. Huh! Upon hearing the Great Elder of the Lightning Race, Wang Xian was stunned. As expected, his strength had been discovered. However, what was the Great Elder trying to do? What's going on? Letting a new disciple spar with Senior Sister Lei Jingyun? That can't be. Senior Sister Lei Jingyun has the strength of a third-order universe paragon. This? How can a new disciple spar with Senior Sister? What's going on? Why would the Great Elder make such an arrangement? The surrounding disciples were stunned as they listened to the Great Elder's instructions. Even some of the attendants and managers of the Lightning Race were shocked. Chapter 3363. Lei Jingyun was a proud son of heaven of the Thunderlight race. His battle prowess had already reached the level of a third-order universe supremacy, and he had at least 4 or 5 postnatal spiritual treasures. Lei Jingyun had great potential to become the eldest senior sister of the Thunder Ray race in the future. The title of Great Senior Sister represented the strongest female disciple in the Lightning race. If she could defeat the Thunder race's eldest senior brother in the future, she would become the eldest senior sister of the entire Thunder race. The status of eldest senior brother and eldest senior sister in the Thunder Ray race was extremely high and was not inferior to that of an ordinary elder. This was because the person who obtained this title had the potential to reach the peak of the Lightning race. However, it was also very difficult to obtain the title of eldest senior brother and eldest senior sister. The eldest apprentice brother of the Lightning race was now more than 400 epochs old. Now, they wanted Lei Jingyun, who had the battle prowess of a third-order universe venerable and the potential of a senior sister, to spar with a new disciple who had just joined the Lightning race? All the disciples in the hall were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. In the end, they fixed their eyes on Wang Xian with bewilderment. Could it be that this fellow was hiding his strength? It's him. The disciples around Wang Xian looked at him with glistening eyes. They all knew that among them, this fellow was the strongest. He had not revealed his true strength since the beginning. He wasn't called up for the spar just now. The Great Elder wants me to spar with a little fellow like you. It seems like you have some strength. Lei Jingyun reacted and sized Wang Xian up from head to toe as he spoke plainly. Whoosh! Come, as your senior sister, I won't bully you. I won't use any spirit treasures. In a flash, she flew to the platform and hooked her finger at Wang Xian. When Wang Xian saw everyone focusing their attention on him, he felt a little helpless. At this point, he couldn't possibly charge towards the Great Elder of the Thunderlight tribe directly, as there was a high chance that he would fail. You're not worth my time. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he looked at Lei Jingyun. When Lei Jingyun heard his words, he was slightly stunned. His eyes revealed a trace of anger. Little fellow, do you not know the immensity of heaven and earth? Damn, this new disciple is so arrogant. Does he have the capital to be arrogant, or is there something wrong with his brain? How dare he be so arrogant to junior sister Jingyun? This kid is looking for a beating. When the crowd heard what he said, they were all astonished. This was too arrogant. Hee hee. The Great Elder of the Thunderlight tribe smiled faintly. You. Very well, I want to make your face stick to the ground. Lei Jingyun clenched his fist, and the wings on his back flickered with lightning. Crash! The next moment, her figure instantly disappeared. Looking at her shadow, Wang Xian revealed a smile and waved his arm. A 4-meter-tall figure appeared in front of him. At this moment, Lei Jingyun's figure happened to appear in front of Wang Xian. She clenched her fist and was about to throw a punch at Wang Xian's face. However, when she saw the figure beside Wang Xian, she froze. Chirp chirp! The thundercloud vulture at the side looked at Lei Jingyun curiously and cried out. You. When Lei Jingyun saw the thundercloud vulture staring at him, his expression changed continuously. The thundercloud vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6 stood beside the young disciple. What the hell? How was she going to fight? She was sure that before her fist landed, she would have been electrocuted black. Oh? At this moment, the great elder of the Thunderlight tribe raised his eyebrows when he saw the thundercloud vulture. He was surprised. SSS. This is a thundercloud vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6. How is this possible? How can that disciple have such a terrifying battle pet? That's a thundercloud vulture. It's an extremely rare and precious wild beast in our thundercloud territory. It's too difficult to capture one as a battle pet. How can he have a thundercloud vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6? How can he suppress it? All the surrounding disciples of the Thunder Ray tribe were shocked when they saw this scene. Even the expression of the Lightning Race expert changed slightly as shock filled his face. Thundercloud vultures were extremely rare in the Thundercloud territory. They were especially good at speed. In terms of speed, even the experts from the Thunderlight tribe of the same level could not be compared. Within the Thunderlight tribe, there were also many Thundercloud vultures that had been suppressed and tamed. However, there were only a few dozen of them, and most of them were in the hands of the top experts from the Thunderlight tribe. Their tribe leader had once wanted to form a Thundercloud vulture battle group but had failed. Thundercloud vultures were too rare and they were too fast. However, a new disciple actually had a Thundercloud vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6. This made them feel a little incredulous. Could he be the descendant of a senior from the Thunderlight tribe? Some disciples were bewildered. Do you still want to fight? Wang Xian listened to the discussions around him and looked at Lei Jingyun with a smile as he asked teasingly. Are you the descendant of a senior from the Thunderlight tribe? Lei Jingyun's expression kept changing as he could not help but ask. Alright, Jingyun, you've lost. You have to know that there will always be someone better in this world. This disciple is not even 20 years old and yet he could defeat you easily. Don't be arrogant in the future. The great elder of the Thunderlight tribe said with a smile. That's because he has a thundercloud vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6. He doesn't count. Lei Jingyun pouted and said with a face full of unwillingness. Jingfa. The great elder of the Thunderlight tribe chuckled as he looked at a middle-aged man not far from him. I'm here. The middle-aged man cupped his hands and stepped forward immediately. Have a spar with this disciple. The great elder of the Thunderlight tribe said as he looked at Wang Xian. If you can win this time, as the great elder of the Thunderlight tribe, I'll reward you with a suitable acquired cardinal treasure. What? Acquired cardinal treasure? I'll reward him with an acquired cardinal treasure. Isn't this a little too generous? In the entire Thunderlight tribe, only Big Senior Brother and Big Senior Sister have been rewarded with acquired cardinal treasures. Now, the Great Elder is actually promising such a precious prize. Lei Jingfa is our 9th senior brother. He's ranked 9th among the current generation of disciples and has the combat power of a universe venerable level 6. Even if he has the Thundercloud Vulture, he might not be a match for 9th senior brother. That's right. Acquired cardinal treasures aren't that easy to obtain. The surrounding disciples were astonished when they heard the Great Elder's words. Lei Jingfa was also slightly taken aback as he bowed and replied, Yes. Wang Xian was also slightly taken aback when he heard the Great Elder's instructions. This isn't going according to plan. If I win, I'll get an acquired cardinal treasure? Chapter 3364. Even in the Great Desolate Continent, Hotian cardinal treasures were extremely powerful treasures. Among the disciples of the Thunderlight tribe, there were only a handful of disciples who possessed acquired cardinal treasures. However, the Great Elder of the Thunderlight tribe had agreed to give him an acquired cardinal treasure as long as he won. This made him feel a little awkward. He was here to snatch something today. Sure. However, Wang Xian couldn't reject at this juncture. He nodded his head with a glimmer in his eyes. This new disciple, I'll ask for your guidance. Lei Jingfa didn't let his guard down. If he could suppress the thundercloud vulture, he couldn't be weak. Moreover, he could tell from the great elder's attitude. Please advise me. Wang Xian moved his palm and kept the thundercloud vulture. He shook his body and the unbeginning sacred wings appeared on his back. Only the lightning attribute unbeginning sacred wings appeared, which looked very strange. On the other side, Wang Xian condensed a pair of thunderbolt wings with the power of lightning. This is... At this moment, the great elder, who was standing at the front, saw the unbeginning sacred wings on Wang Xian's back. His body trembled violently, and his eyes lit up. He pondered for a moment, and watched silently. Should he use the thundercloud vulture for a one-on-one spar? He's so confident. When the surrounding disciples of the Thunder Ray tribe saw this, their eyes narrowed as astonished looks appeared on their faces. This guy should be a rank 6 universe venerable. How is this possible? He's not even 20 years old. This is impossible. Lei Jingyan shook his head in disbelief. With such strength at such a young age, wouldn't he be considered extremely powerful even among the elite tribes? Be careful! Lei Jingfa moved and lightning flickered on his body as he charged towards Wang Xian. Wang Xian focused his eyes. He had used the metal to conceal his 8 attributes and 8 types of energy. When he didn't use the 8 attributes, the 5 elements grindstone, and the Tai Chi dragon coil, his combat power was only at rank 6 universe venerable. At this time, he naturally couldn't expose his full strength. Wang Xian moved his palm and the lightning condensed into a dragon claw, which he grabbed forward. Great! I didn't expect to spar with such a genius today! Lei Jingfa laughed when he sensed Wang Xian's attack. A thunder hammer and thunder awl appeared in his hands. Ka! The thunder hammer struck the thunder awl, and a bolt of lightning struck the thunder dragon claw. Crackle! The sound of collision rang out. Wang Xian waved his hand and a bolt of lightning appeared in his hand. This bolt of lightning was something he had obtained from the thunderclouds. It was an acquired spiritual treasure. Kill! He waved his arm and lightning covered the lightning. It slowly turned into a lightning dragon. It swayed its huge body and directly attacked Lei Jingfa. That disciple is so powerful. He has just joined our Thunder Ray race and hasn't even reached the 20th epoch yet, but he is already so powerful. This is too terrifying. Is he still human? Even a monstrous genius wouldn't be this monstrous. What powerful strength! The surrounding disciples were shocked to see the clash between Wang Xian and Lei Jingfa. Lei Jingfa was their senior brother. In the Thunderlight race, he could be ranked highly. This young man's means. Beside the great elder of the Thunder Ray race, an old man stared at Wang Xian and mumbled. Divine Dragon. It's similar to the attacks of the Divine Dragon lineage. This isn't his true form. He should be a Divine Dragon. The great elder's eyes lit up as he spoke. Divine Dragon lineage? Is he a disciple of the ancestral dragon? It's highly possible. Other than those pinnacle races and forces, there aren't many high-level races with such talent and strength. The disciple of the ancestral dragon wants to join our Thunder Ray race? The old man beside him said in shock. That's not impossible. Now that the leader of the ancestral dragon has dispersed all his disciples and ordered them to pursue all kinds of techniques, the disciples of the ancestral dragon won't gather as long as a universe sovereign is not born. There are precedents of disciples of the ancestral dragon joining other forces. The great elder said. The ancestral dragon lineage was now known as the orthodox lineage of the divine dragon lineage. The leader of the ancestral dragon was also respected by many experts. Within the ancestral dragon lineage, there were many experts and supreme talents. Those purebred divine dragons and those pinnacle dragon species had talents comparable to those of the pinnacle races. As for some disciples of the ancestral dragon lineage, in order to pursue greater strength, follow their leader, and pursue the universe sovereign realm, some of them joined other forces. The other forces didn't reject them. Firstly, the disciples of the ancestral dragon lineage were indeed outstanding. Secondly, regardless of whether the ancestral dragon lineage had a universe sovereign in the future, it would only be beneficial to these forces. If the ancestral dragon lineage had a universe sovereign and the disciple of the ancestral dragon returned, their race would also be connected to a pinnacle race because of this disciple. If the ancestral dragon lineage didn't have a universe sovereign, their race would have an expert with the bloodline of the divine dragon. Why not? With such a disciple said the old man as he looked at Wang Xian in the field. Nurture him. Nurture him with all our might. I'll report this to the patriarch and the rest later. The great elder of the Thunder Ray race said with a smile. The old man nodded. Jingfa is going to lose. Jingfa shouldn't have engaged him in close combat. The physical body of a divine dragon isn't something our Thunder Ray race can compare with. The great elder looked ahead and said, Bam! A violent collision sound came from the front. Wang Xian's arm was covered with dragon scales. He clenched his fist and collided with Lei Jingfa. A powerful force rushed towards Lei Jingfa. Sensing the force, Lei Jingfa held his breath and couldn't help but fly backwards. Pa pa pa! In the next instant, thunderbolts exploded around Lei Jingfa, causing his expression to change. Huff, I've lost. Lei Jingfa looked at Wang Xian with a complicated expression and said disappointedly. This senior brother Lei Jingfa has lost. The surrounding disciples of the Thunder Ray race were dumbfounded. Defeated just like that? Their senior brother had been defeated by a newly joined disciple? Great, great. What a strong divine dragon body and strong control of thunder techniques. What's the name of this disciple? The great elder stood up and applauded loudly. Wang Xian. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he replied. Wang Xian? Great, you've defeated a strong senior brother. I'll fulfill my promise and reward you with an acquired cardinal treasure. However, I'll give you a choice. The great elder squinted his eyes as he spoke. Please speak, great elder. Wang Xian cupped his hands. I have a part of a treasure here. You should have a part of it too. If you're sincere in joining the Thunder Ray race, I can give it all to you. As the great elder spoke, he moved his palm and lightning feathers appeared in his hand. Her? This? Wang Xian opened his mouth slightly when he saw this. Damn, it's that easy? This isn't going according to plan at all. Wang Xian's original plan was to pull the wings off the back of the great elder of the Thunder Ray race and bring the lightning feathers away. However, he had already thought of an escape route. He had even considered how to deal with the attack of the experts of the Thunder Ray race. Little did he expect that the great elder of the Thunder Ray race would give it to him as a gift. This was beyond his expectations. Chapter 3365 27 lightning feathers floated in front of the great elder of the Thunderlight tribe. Wang Xian could feel the restlessness of the unbeginning sacred wings in his body. He frowned slightly as he looked at the 27 lightning feathers. The lightning feathers were within his reach, but the great elder of the Thunderlight tribe had stated a condition. He wanted him to join the Thunderlight tribe sincerely. As the leader of the Dragon Palace, how could he join the Thunderlight tribe? However, the other party had not shown any signs of disgust. If he were to snatch it directly, he would feel bad. I understand your hesitation. I also know that you are a disciple of the ancestral dragon lineage. You will leave the moment your ancestral dragon lineage needs you. It doesn't matter. If you decide to leave the Thunder Ray tribe one day, you can do so directly. You just need to remember our kindness. Join the Thunderlight tribe and we will not mistreat you. The great elder of the Thunderlight tribe suddenly spoke again. Huh! When Wang Xian heard this, he paused for a moment. What's going on? He thinks I am a disciple of the ancestral dragon bloodline? This? I can leave at any time as long as I remember this favor? Wang Xian pondered for a while and instantly figured out many things. What? He is a disciple of the ancestral dragon bloodline? Is he a divine dragon? No wonder. No wonder he is so powerful. He has such strength at such a young age. He must be an elite supreme talent of the ancestral dragon bloodline? Is he a divine dragon? A purebred divine dragon? A lightning dragon? The surrounding disciples of the Thunderlight tribe discussed in shock when they heard the great elder. He is a divine dragon? No wonder his attack looked like the attack of the divine dragon clan. Lei Jingyun and Lei Jingfao were also shocked as they sized Wang Xian up curiously. All right, I will never forget the kindness of the Thunderlight tribe. Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian did not hesitate any longer and agreed immediately. Since the other party had mistaken him as a disciple of the ancestral dragon bloodline, he would make the best of it. As long as he remembered this kindness. These 27 lightning feathers were very important to him. Since the other party had given them to him in such a manner, Wang Xian would owe them a favor. He would repay them in the future. Haha, great. Wang Xian, right? Welcome to our Thunder Ray race. You're the first person with the divine dragon bloodline to join our Thunder Ray race. This is your reward. The Thunderlight race's great elder laughed heartily. With a wave of his arm, he tossed the 27 thunder feathers to him. When Wang Xian saw the 27 lightning feathers, his eyes were filled with excitement. He immediately extended his hand to receive them. He had finally found the last part of the unbeginning sacred wings. Moreover, Wang Xian realized that these feathers of lightning had been nurtured by the great elder of the lightning race. Each of them was comparable to an acquired spiritual treasure. 27 lightning feathers were comparable to 27 acquired spiritual treasures. After he nurtured it, he would be able to completely restore the unbeginning saint wings. At that time, what kind of radiance would the unbeginning sacred wings have? Now that he possessed 9 attributes, how could he unleash such power? His eyes sparkled as he put away all the lightning feathers. Thank you, First Elder! Wang Xian expressed his gratitude immediately with a smile. This was a sincere thank you. You're welcome. This is what you deserve. As the pride of the Thunderlight race, we will give you all kinds of rewards. With your strength, you can enter the inner sect directly. I'll bring you to a residence that you will be living in the future. The great elder waved his hand and was in a good mood. Yes. Wang Xian smiled and stood at the side. I'll leave the rest to you. Wang Xian, follow me! The great elder instructed the group of experts from the Thunderlight race. He looked at Wang Xian and gestured for him to follow him. Wang Xian nodded his head and immediately followed behind the great elder. I didn't expect a disciple of the ancestral dragon bloodline to join the Thunderlight race. Moreover, the great elder seems very happy. That's for sure. This is a win-win for us. If Wang Xian is a purebred divine dragon and marries a female disciple of the Thunderlight race in the future, they will give birth to a dragon. If there's a pinnacle dragon among them, the Thunderlight race will have made a killing. Perhaps even the great elder doesn't think as much as you? I don't think so. However, this Wang Xian is really impressive to possess such strength at such a young age. He'll be our senior brother in the future. After the great elder left, some of the older disciples of the Thunderlight race discussed softly. They had some guesses as to what the great elder was doing. Wang Xian, who had just left with the great elder of the Thunderlight race, heard the discussions behind him. His face darkened. This seemed to be a real possibility. He shook his head and threw these thoughts to the back of his mind. The main reason why he had come to the chaotic continent was for the lightning feather. Now that he had gotten it so smoothly, it was a pleasant surprise. Come, Wang Xian. This is a patch of thunderclouds where the inner sect disciples reside. Within this patch of thunderclouds, there's a blessed land called the Thunder Mountain. The Thunder Mountain emits the power of lightning that materializes and is extremely beneficial to the cultivation of the lightning Tao. The closer you get to the peak of the Thunder Mountain, the more benefits you will get from the cultivation of the lightning Tao. The great elder brought Wang Xian to a patch of thunderclouds. Within this patch of thunderclouds, there was a purple Thunder Mountain. This Thunder Mountain was very strange. It wasn't floating in the air but was connected to the ground below. This was a powerful blessed grotto heaven. Just the place where the disciples resided was within the blessed land. One could imagine the strength of the thunder light race. There's an empty palace at the peak. You can stay here in the future, the great elder said to Wang Xian. Okay. Wang Xian looked over and nodded. This palace was near the peak and was considered an excellent location within the blessed land. However, Wang Xian wasn't concerned about this. He was prepared to make a trip back to the Dragon Palace to refine the lightning feather completely. I'll bring you to some important places of the Thunder Light race so that you can get to know them. The great elder continued talking to him as he brought him to take a brief look at the other places of the Thunder Light race. There was the Techniques Depository of the Thunder Light race, the Ascending Thunder Peak, and the blessed land where the disciples went for training. There was also the main hall of the Thunder Light race. Each place represented a grotto heaven and blessed land. Wang Xian did a rough calculation. Just the places that the great elder of the Thunder Ray tribe had brought him to had more than 10 grotto heaven and blessed land. This also allowed Wang Xian to truly witness the strength of the races within the chaotic continent. After all, the current Dragon Palace only occupied a single blessed land. These are some of the rules and things to take note of in the Thunder Light race. Take a look first. 3 days later, there will be disciples looking for you. You can also get to know each other. Before the great elder left, he passed a jade letter to Wang Xian. All right, great elder. Wang Xian nodded his head and watched as the great elder left. Forget it. I'll just stay with the Thunder Light race for some time and venture deeper into the chaotic continent. After standing there for more than 10 seconds, he smiled and entered his own hall. Chapter 3366. The interior of the main hall was lavishly decorated. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings and was very satisfied with the interior. He did not take out the unbeginning sacred wings immediately. After observing for a while, he took a look at the information given to him by the great elder of the Thunder Light tribe. He looked up all the rules and information about the Thunder Ray tribe. In this unfamiliar place, Wang Xian had to be careful. Chief! Just as Wang Xian was browsing through the various messages, a majestic hall bathed in lightning was located in the main hall of the Thunder Ray tribe. From afar, it looked majestic. The great elder of the Thunder Light tribe stood in a room at the side of the main hall and bowed respectfully to the chief of the Thunder Light tribe. Her? What's the joyous occasion that made you call me over so anxiously? The chief of the Thunder Light tribe sat on a chair and asked the great elder with a smile. Chief, regarding the disciple recruitment today, we had an accident. The Grand Elder happily reported everything that had happened that day to the Patriarch. Her? The chief of the Thunder Light tribe raised an eyebrow upon hearing his words. His eyes flickered. Very well done. With such strength at such a young age, there's a high possibility that he's a purebred divine dragon. Make arrangements for the disciples of the Thunder Light tribe to interact with him more. Be it sparring or training together. Oh, especially the female disciples. As the Patriarch spoke, he gently tilted his chair. Yes, Chief. I know what to do. The great elder nodded with a smile. If the other party was a purebred divine dragon, the Thunder Light tribe hoped that he could get married and have children here. If a purebred divine dragon or a powerful dragon was born, it would be extremely beneficial to the Thunder Light tribe. Treat him well. Give him treasures and resources. Even if he runs away, we will only suffer some losses. However, as long as he doesn't run away, we will earn a lot. Of course, we have to check his temperament too. The chief of the Thunder Light tribe continued to instruct. The great elder of the Thunder Light tribe nodded slightly. The rules are still all right. The Thunder Light tribe seems to be pretty good. The competition is fair. Wang Xian mumbled to himself after reading all the information in the main hall that he was staying in. His eyes flickered as he sat cross-legged in the cultivation room. He contacted the blazing sky array and carved an array. Buzz! Soon, on lion sky formation's figures appeared. Dragon King! The two of them immediately bowed. Sky array, set up some shielding formations in this room. If anyone comes in, immediately return to the Dragon Palace and inform me. Wang Xian immediately instructed the sky array. It's Dragon King! The heavenly formation answered. Wang Xian nodded. In the next moment, he disappeared and returned to the Dragon Palace. I'm suffocating! After coming out, Wang Xian let Ling Ling out. He ignored the little brat and went straight to the Dragon King Hall. Buzz! With a jolt of his body, Wang Xian took out 27 lightning feathers. The last 27 lightning feathers. Crash! The unbeginning sacred wings appeared on his back. With a slight flap, the 27 thunder feathers automatically flew backward. Crackle! When the 27 lightning feathers landed on it, the power of thunder began to circulate, and the lightning bolts intertwined with each other. Wang Xian stood there and sensed it quietly. The feather of thunder had already begun to return to the unbeginning sacred wings. Wang Xian could sense a majestic thunder and lightning being nurtured and reborn. However, he needed some time to nurture the lightning feathers before they could be completely integrated. Roar! On the unbeginning sacred wings, Wang Xian's thunder attribute doppelganger slowly stretched out his head and let out a roar. He began to swim on it. One lightning feather, and the other wind feather. The two wings were on his back and were flapping slowly. Gradually, Wang Xian realized that the two doppelgangers of wind and thunder were slowly merging. This integration was not just into one, but the integration of energy. The speed of integration was slow and would require some time. At least a month's time, Wang Xian murmured as he sensed the speed of integration behind him. A month later, the complete unbeginning sacred wings would appear. The power of thunder in my body is constantly increasing. It won't be long before I can possess the combat power of a level 7 universe venerable with the power of thunder and my physical body. He calculated in his heart as he nurtured the unbeginning sacred wings with all his might, waiting for it to be completed. Dragon King, someone has entered your palace. 3 days passed quickly and the sky array sent a message. Huh! Wang Xian opened his eyes and shouted. Sky array! 1. The silhouette of the sky array appeared. In the next moment, he returned to the main hall of the lightning race. He immediately concealed his energy with the special silvery white metal and flew out. Is junior brother Wang Xian cultivating inside? At the entrance of the main hall, hundreds of disciples of the lightning race stood at the front. The middle-aged man leading the group looked in with doubts. He's out! At this time, a girl's voice was heard and she looked forward curiously. Greetings, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm cultivating. Wang Xian walked out of the main hall and greeted the group of Thunder Ray tribe disciples at the entrance, with a smile on his face. No wonder junior brother Wang Xian could possess such strength at such a young age. You're really hardworking in your cultivation. We've disturbed you. The middle-aged man leading the group smiled and cupped his hands at Wang Xian. Not at all. I'm the one who forgot about the time. The great elder has already informed me in advance. Wang Xian shook his head and invited. Senior and junior brothers, would you like to come in and have a seat? No. We are here to get to know junior brother Wang Xian. Naturally, we would like to invite you to our place. Let's go. We have prepared some good wine and dishes from the Thunder Ray race. I guarantee you have never tasted them before. The middle-aged man waved his hand and invited him. Sorry to bother you. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. Come, junior brother Wang Xian. Let me introduce you to everyone. From now on, we'll be a family in the lightning race. Feel free to look for us if you need anything. The universe AI will add you in a while. Junior brother Wang Xian, you don't have to stand on ceremony with us. As the middle-aged man spoke, he introduced the surrounding disciples to Wang Xian. From the middle-aged man's introduction, Wang Xian also knew his identity. The fourth senior brother of the lightning race was ranked fourth among the disciples. Among the disciples who came, he was the strongest. The top 3 senior brothers and sisters did not come this time. Wang Xian. Senior brother, are you a divine dragon? A purebred divine dragon? How can you be so powerful at such a young age? You're so much more powerful than me. When they arrived at an entertainment venue for the disciples, Lei Jingyun could not help but ask Wang Xian. Chapter 3367. Wang Xian's age and the strength he had displayed far surpassed the disciples of the Thunderlight tribe. It was especially so for Lei Jingyun, who felt a huge blow. Her strength and talent were definitely top-notch within the same generation of the Thunderlight tribe. She wasn't inferior to her eldest senior brother. However, her current strength was worlds apart from Wang Xian. This was a huge blow to her. She stared at Wang Xian curiously. Was he a purebred divine dragon? The surrounding disciples of the Thunderlight tribe also looked at Wang Xian curiously when they heard Lei Jingyun's question. They were also curious about whether Wang Xian was a purebred divine dragon. Purebred divine dragons were powerful creatures that belonged to the pinnacle of the supremacies in the universe. They could fight opponents 3 levels higher than them, possessed powerful techniques, and had a chance of reaching the pinnacle. The Thunderlight tribe didn't seem weak. Their strongest expert was a pinnacle supremacy. However, the truth was that their strongest expert was only a level 8 supremacy. In the interior of the Great Desolate Continent, the majority of lifeforms could fight 2 ranks above them. This meant that bloodlines and talents that could fight above their ranks were useless in the Great Desolate Continent. There were still level 9 and pinnacle supremacies stronger than them. Not to mention those powerful pinnacle races. You can say so! Wang Xian smiled and nodded when he heard Lei Jingyun's curious words. He moved his palm and turned it into a dragon claw. The void froze and a lightning dragon soared into the sky before disappearing. Junior brother Wang Xian is really a purebred divine dragon? This is amazing! A purebred divine dragon, and a lightning dragon at that. This lightning dragon should be much more talented than us. In the future, junior brother Wang Xian will definitely surpass our patriarch and the rest. This is the first time I've seen a pinnacle race. I'm so envious! The group of disciples from the Thunderlight race looked at Wang Xian with envy in their eyes. Since the birth of the Thunderlight tribe, the strongest expert had been a level 8 supremacy. This had a lot to do with their own physique, bloodline, and techniques. It was extremely difficult for them to break through this shackle. This was also the reason why the strongest expert in the Thunderlight tribe was only a pinnacle supremacy. However, a purebred divine dragon was different. The only shackle for a purebred divine dragon was when they broke through to the universe dominator. At that time, their combat power could easily wipe out the entire Thunderlight tribe. This was the relationship between potential and upper limit. The other disciples of the Thunder Ray tribe were naturally envious of Wang Xian for possessing the body of a purebred divine dragon. Wang Xian chuckled. The divine dragon lineage was indeed not something the Thunderlight race could compare to. No wonder senior brother Wang Xian could defeat me. So you're a purebred divine dragon. Come, senior brother Wang Xian, let's go inside, Lei Jingfa said from the side. The group arrived at the place where the disciples of the Thunderlight tribe had fun. When he entered, some of the disciples saw him and whispered to each other. Their faces were filled with curiosity. Now, all the disciples of the Thunder Ray race knew that an extremely powerful and demon-like disciple had arrived. Senior brother Lei Jingfa, who had defeated a universe venerable level 6 in less than 20 eras, and even had a thundercloud vulture as a battle pet. This caused all the disciples to be extremely shocked. In particular, the fact that he might be a purebred divine dragon was even more shocking. Come, junior brother Wang Xian, have a taste. This is the thundercloud brew that I got from the elder. The group of disciples from the Thunderlight race greeted Wang Xian warmly. They had also received orders from their masters, the elders, and their seniors to befriend Wang Xian. They also wanted to be on good terms with such a powerful genius, a disciple with limitless potential. Moreover, Wang Xian's current strength could be ranked in the top 10 among the disciples of the Thunderlight race. After playing with the group of disciples for 5 to 6 hours, Wang Xian returned to his palace and announced that he was going into seclusion for a few months. The group of disciples from the Thunder Light race also smiled and nodded their heads. To them, a few months of seclusion was considered a very short period of time. Moreover, they also knew that Wang Xian had received a treasure from the Great Elder and needed to refine it. After returning to his palace, Wang Xian returned to the Dragon Palace again. This time, no one disturbed him. His identity, as a purebred divine dragon, had also spread throughout the Thunder Light race. This caused discussions among countless disciples and even the experts of the Thunder Light race. Time passed day by day. Wang Xian nurtured the unbeginning sacred wings in the Dragon Palace and waited for them to recover completely. Wang! Chirp chirp! A month later, a bird-like chirp was heard from within the Dragon Palace. Chirp chirp! Roar roar! Behind Wang Xian, the unbeginning sacred wings were radiating intense light. The violent power of wind and thunder condensed into the form of a powerful bird. The pupils of this wind and thunder bird seemed to possess infinite wisdom as it appeared on the unbeginning sacred wings. At this moment, the shadow of Wang Xian's wind and thunder clone appeared. The wind and thunder bird entered the shadow of the wind and thunder clone. In the next instant, Wang Xian felt the intense power of wind and thunder surging into his body. As for the unbeginning sacred wings, it started to take root on Wang Xian's back and completely entered his body as though it was going to become one with his body. Boom! At this moment, Wang Xian felt a huge image surging into his mind. In the image, a wind and thunder bird, which was 10,000 meters in size, was battling with countless creatures in the void. Some of these creatures were like humans, while others were like demonic beasts. However, their attacks were extremely strange. All of them seemed to possess the ability to teleport. That's right, it was teleportation. It was similar to the teleportation of Enlai. These countless humans and demonic beasts were unusually strong. However, the wind and thunder bird was equally terrifying. Bolts of lightning struck through the void. The speed of its flight was comparable to teleportation, or even faster. The speed of the wind and thunder bird had reached its peak. In fact, it even disappeared. Wang Xian could only see humans and demonic beasts being killed and falling to the ground. The brutal war continued and the smell of blood permeated the entire void. In just a few minutes, the number of experts who died in the hands of the wind and thunder bird was innumerable. Buzz buzz buzz. In the next instant, Wang Xian saw more than 10 huge figures appearing in front of the wind and thunder bird. Around these huge figures, the void began to distort, and the space was wrinkled. It was extremely strange. Wang Xian couldn't see what happened next. This was because the battle was too fast, and there wasn't even a shadow. The entire scene lasted for half an hour. In the end, more than 10 huge corpses and a wind and thunder wings suddenly appeared. The other parts of the wind and thunder bird had disappeared completely. Wang Xian sensed the strange war in his mind and was shocked. Chapter 3368 Powerful Tempest Bird. Terrifying enemies that could teleport. Moreover, there were many of these enemies who could teleport, and they were densely packed. Who were they? Was there such a race in the universe? This made Wang Xian think of Enlai and the creepy devil spirit altar. And the creepy space that Enlai had gone to enhance his strength. In the universe, there were 9 attributes: metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, light, and darkness. These 9 attributes had evolved into the current universe. However, he had never heard of an attribute called space. In his opinion, to perform space teleportation, one would need to reach the universe Lord realm. But now, it seemed that wasn't the case. There was more than one creepy existence like Enlai. No, they don't seem to be as creepy as Enlai. Enlai's space teleportation is faster and calmer than them. But even so, the ability of those humans and demonic beasts could also be called space teleportation, Wang Xian murmured. The scene in his mind had shocked him. Even in the inheritance of the divine dragon, there were no records of such an ability. Forget it. I'll know when I'm strong enough. From the scene just now, the Tempest Bird might have died. Now that the unbeginning sacred wings have completely integrated with me, I've also obtained an ability. Wang Xian shook his head and murmured. Searching the void was an ability that he had obtained. This ability originated from the Tempest Bird. It was a very powerful ability. By attaching the power of Tempest to the enemy, he would be able to find them no matter where they were hiding. Moreover, it had a very powerful effect, which was the lock-on effect. As long as one could lock on the enemy with the void lock-on, one's attack would be able to track them directly. Of course, there was a flaw. Only the power of Tempest could automatically track an attack. If Wang Xian were to use attacks of other attributes, there wouldn't be such an effect. But even so, this was already very powerful to him. Wang Xian's body shook and his entire body was covered by the 9 attributes. These 9 attributes gave off different colors of light and surrounded his body. At the same time, Wang Xian's aura grew stronger. Just a little bit more. The other 8 attributes have been improving along with me. In terms of quality, they are stronger than the lightning attribute. My lightning attribute is still lacking. Wang Xian sensed his body. The 5 elements, yin-yang, tempest, and tempest. The 9 attributes were divided into 3 camps. Among the tempest, the lightning attribute was slightly weaker. The energy in his body had yet to reach a balance. I need to increase my lightning attribute a little. Once I achieve balance, I can increase my attack power by another tier. In other words, it's a battle of 7 ranks. A faint smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. 7 levels higher than him. At that time, he would possess the combat prowess of a pinnacle universe venerable. It wouldn't take long. Now let's increase my power of thunder, Wang Xian murmured. With a shake of his body, the silvery white metal covered the 8 attributes, leaving only the thunder attribute. He felt the energy in his body. It was comparable to a newly advanced level 7 venerable. When he could insta-kill a level 7 venerable, that would be when he could fight against pinnacle venerables. Moreover, it wasn't as simple as just resisting, it should be able to instantly kill a pinnacle universe venerable. It's just as well. I can head over to the lightning race to improve my power of lightning. He called Enlai over and ordered him to bring him back to the Thunder Ray tribe. Enlai, this is for you. After arriving at the Thunder Ray tribe, he hesitated for a moment before passing the ancient oil lamp to Enlai. Currently, the energy within the oil lamp was enough to withstand an attack from a first-order sovereign realm expert. Any more and it wouldn't work. Wang Xian had no use for it now. Moreover, his strength was increasing rapidly. Without sufficient energy, the oil lamp wouldn't be of much use to him. Huh! Thank you, Dragon King! With this defense, I can try to continue improving my strength. Holding the oil lamp, Enlai's eyes shone with excitement. Be careful. The space you went to is a little strange. Report to me when you come back, Wang Xian reminded him. Yes. Enlai nodded excitedly. He bowed and disappeared instantly. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he watched Enlai disappear. Didn't they know that the dimension Enlai had gone to was the great desolate continent? Or perhaps it was some other place? Back in the palace, Wang Xian took a look at the surroundings. With a swift movement, he headed out immediately. The place where his palace was located was a paradise. Thunder attribute cultivators could cultivate dozens of times faster here. However, Wang Xian didn't cultivate here. He wanted to go to other places, to other thunderclouds, to bathe in lightning and cultivate. Or to see if he could hunt some lightning attribute wild beasts, and absorb the power of lightning in their bodies. Wang Xian flew towards the foot of the mountain where the palace was. The Great Elder gave him a piece of information, which contained information about this thundercloud domain. Around the Thunder Ray tribe, there were fewer wild beasts, and the power of lightning was milder. In the direction of the Sky Thunder City, it was milder. Behind the Thunder Ray tribe, there were some violent thunderclouds controlled by the Thunder Ray tribe. Further away was an area that the Thunder Ray tribe didn't control. There were wild beasts living there and violent lightning power. Disciples below the universe supremacy level were forbidden from going there, as it was extremely dangerous. Even disciples above the universe supremacy level had to be careful. Although the disciples of the Thunder Ray tribe were good at speed, the wild beasts in the thunderclouds were even better. If they were ambushed and assassinated by wild beasts that were stronger than them, there was a high chance that they would be killed instantly. They wouldn't even be able to escape back to their own god nation. Therefore, the experts of the Thunder Ray tribe didn't recommend their disciples to go there. Of course, risks and benefits coexisted. One could obtain some lightning attributes, spiritual treasures, or even supreme treasures there. There were even quite a number of treasures for cultivation. The other 8 attributes in Wang Xian's body were concealed. Therefore, there was no need for him to reveal his full strength. As long as he was careful not to expose himself in times of danger, he could train and improve his strength at other times. When he arrived at the bottom, there was a teleportation array that could bring him directly to the border. Wang Xian entered the teleportation array and disappeared immediately. The next moment, he appeared in a public square. At the side, there were experts of the Thunder Ray tribe guarding this area. Seeing Wang Xian coming out from inside, the 6 experts guarding the area looked at him curiously. "Be careful when you cultivate in the deeper areas. Don't lose your life," a middle-aged man reminded him kindly. Chapter 3369. Thanks for the reminder. Wang Xian cupped his fists at the 2 experts from the Thunder Light race who were guarding the array. With a swift move, he flew forward. Rumble! Crackle! Crackle! After flying for less than half an hour, thunder rumbled in front of him. The thundercloud field was filled with black and purple clouds. Thunder and lightning often rained down from below. The so-called thunder and lightning rain meant that the rainwater contained the power of thunder. Wang Xian shuttled through the clouds. From time to time, electric arcs would land on him and grind his body. "A little deeper!" "Swoosh!" Wang Xian murmured. In the next moment, a part of the thunder wings of the unbeginning sacred wings appeared behind him. At the position of his thunder wings, the shadow of a thunder dragon appeared. As it flapped, it looked like a divine dragon was galloping. Indistinctly, he could see the shadow of a tempest bird on the lightning feathers. Wang Xian continued to fly forward. Strong senses were felt from the lightning wings. He could sense which direction had the strongest lightning power. Following this sense, Wang Xian continued flying forward. Half a month later, he came to the center of a purple thundercloud. "I can sense a strong force of thunder coming from here. This force of thunder is very gentle and should be helpful for cultivation," Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he came to the purple thundercloud. The thunder wings had a strong sense of thunder. He could sense the gentle force of thunder, which should be the existence of a treasure. "This way. I found it." After flying for an hour, Wang Xian saw a fruit in the void ahead. "This should be the Thunder Void fruit." Wang Xian walked over, plucked it, and murmured. The Thunder Void fruit was a fruit that grew in the cracks of the void. The conditions for the formation of such a fruit were extremely harsh. It was a rare treasure in the thundercloud region. In the sky above the chaotic continent, the void was much more stable than other places in the universe. Take this place for example. Unless Wang Xian unleashed all his strength, he could not open the cracks of the void. In this place, it was impossible to teleport and hurry on with one's journey. TSK, the energy in the Thunder Void fruit is really huge. I can cultivate here for a period of time. Wang Xian did not go deeper. This position was good enough for him. He did not rely on the thunder wings to search for treasures. The probability was too low, and it was a waste of time. After putting the Thunder Void fruit into his mouth, he sat under the lightning and began his cultivation. Bolts of lightning landed on his body, quickly transforming into energy within his body. Relying on this method of cultivation, Wang Xian's strength improved rapidly. Buzz! As the days passed, Wang Xian had been cultivating in the lightning for more than 2 months. However, on this day, a terrifying figure suddenly attacked Wang Xian, who was sitting cross-legged and cultivating. It had a long horn and a snake-like body. The thunderhorn snake was a desolate beast that specialized in sneak attacks. It lived in the thunderclouds and hunted. It had been staring at Wang Xian for 2 days. Seeing that Wang Xian was motionless, it launched an attack at this moment. The lightning horn snake with the attack power of a universe venerable rank 6 had terrifying and fast attacks. It hid in a thunderbolt above Wang Xian and attacked him. Courting death! Wang Xian sensed the changes in the lightning in the sky. He opened his eyes and looked over. His eyes were glistening. Let's try out the void tracking ability. He sat there cross-legged, and a lightning sword shot out from the wings on his back. Bam! The lightning horn of the thunderhorn snake collided with the lightning sword, giving off a crisp sound. SSSSSS. Seeing that its attack had failed, the thunderhorn snake stuck out its tongue. Without any hesitation, it fled into the distance with lightning flickering on its body. Crackle! At this time, bolts of lightning landed on the thunderhorn snake. Wang Xian waved his arms and the thunder dragon claws clawed at it. These thunder dragon claws seemed to be equipped with navigation systems. No matter how the thunderhorn snake dodged, they continued to pursue it. SSSSSSSSS. The eyes of the thunderhorn snake were filled with anger. It swept its tail and bolts of purple lightning struck at the dragon claws. Crackle! The collision between the lightning was heard. Wang Xian waved his palm, and a lightning dragon gradually condensed and chased after the thunderhorn snake. SSSSSSSSS. The thunderhorn snake was horrified at this moment. It immediately fled into the distance while the lightning dragon chased after it. Buzz buzz! Soon, the thunderhorn snake disappeared and fled back to its nest after putting some distance between it and the snake. However, the lightning dragon was still chasing after it, as though it wanted to kill its way to the nest of the thunderhorn snake. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes were glistening. He could sense that the lightning dragon that he had released had been flying for more than 10 minutes. Eventually, it was attacked by other lightning in the thunderclouds and disappeared completely. It's really searching through the void. As long as the other party hasn't cleared the power of lightning left in its body, my attack will be able to chase after the other party until the energy is depleted. Wang Xian revealed a smile. In this way, he could chase to the location of the other party's holy kingdom. After a simple test, he closed his eyes and continued his cultivation. Third senior sister, this thundercloud vulture is too hard to catch. We finally found one, but it escaped. A female disciple of the Thunderhorn tribe, who was not far away, commented unhappily. The thundercloud vulture is known for its speed and it is rare. It is extremely difficult to catch it. There are only 100 thundercloud vultures in the entire Thunderhorn tribe. A middle-aged woman shook her head with a smile. Yeah, junior sister Jingyun. It is too difficult to get a thundercloud vulture. I think you should consider other war pets. The dozen or so disciples beside him also suggested. The potential of other war pets is too low. Some of them are ugly. Who would want such a war pet? Lei Jingyun shook her head with a bitter face. Then we have no choice. Unless we encounter a thundercloud vulture with rank 1 or 2 supremacy realm combat strength, we will have a chance to catch it. Otherwise, it will be hard to catch the slightly stronger ones. Moreover, it will be hard to tame it after we catch it. The woman who was addressed as third senior sister shook her head. All right then. I wonder how Wang Xian managed to catch a thundercloud vulture. His strength is the same as his thundercloud vulture. Lei Jingyun murmured with a tinge of unwillingness on her face. Eh? Upon hearing her words, third senior sister suddenly exclaimed in surprise. She looked ahead and exclaimed, There is someone ahead! Huh! It's senior brother Wang Xian? What a coincidence! A middle-aged man looked over with a surprised look on his face. Chapter 3370. It's true! Senior brother Wang Xian! Within the thundercloud, Lei Jingyun and the rest looked at Wang Xian and greeted him with smiles. Wang Xian had already sensed their arrival. He stood up and looked at them. Senior brother Wang Xian, are you cultivating here alone? A middle-aged man asked Wang Xian. There might not be many people in the Thunder Ray tribe who knew Wang Xian. However, many outstanding disciples knew him. The group of disciples who had invited Wang Xian previously were all rather famous in the Thunder Ray race. Yes, I'm cultivating here. Wang Xian nodded his head. He looked across them and asked, Are you guys training? Yes, I'm roaming around with third senior sister and the rest to see if we can catch some wild beasts and find some treasures. The middle-aged man nodded his head. Senior brother Wang Xian, you have to be careful if you're alone. It's very dangerous here. I'll take note. Wang Xian nodded his head. Senior brother Wang Xian. At this moment, Lei Jingyun rolled her eyes. Suddenly, she shouted and flew towards Wang Xian. Ha! The group of disciples from the Thunder Ray race was shocked when they saw her. What's the matter? Wang Xian asked with a smile when he saw Lei Jingyun rolling her eyes. He had a pretty good impression of the disciples from the Thunder Ray race. Senior brother Wang Xian, I do have a question. How did you catch that thundercloud vulture? Lei Jingyun looked at Wang Xian and asked with a chuckle. How did I catch it? Is that how I caught it? Wang Xian replied with a smile. This thundercloud vulture is so fast. How can I catch it? Lei Jingyun was speechless. I have an idea. Wang Xian looked at her and said, You have an idea? Lei Jingyun's eyes lit up and flickered with radiance. Why don't senior brother Wang Xian accompany us to capture the wild beasts? If we succeed, I'll give you some treasures for your cultivation. What do you think? Wang Xian was slightly taken aback when he heard her. He pondered for a moment and nodded his head when he saw her expectant expression. Sure, he agreed. That's great. Haha, third senior sister, let's go. I've invited senior brother Wang Xian. Let's continue to capture thundercloud vultures. With senior brother Wang Xian and you around, in addition to the thundercloud vulture in senior brother Wang Xian's hands, our chances of success are high, Lei Jingyun said excitedly. Third senior sister smiled and shook her head. Her gaze fell on Wang Xian. Welcome to our team, junior brother Wang Xian. No need. I came out this time to see if I can get some treasures. Wang Xian shook his head. After 2 months of training, his current lightning attribute strength was comparable to a level 7 universe venerable. Next, he would follow them around and see if he could find any treasures. All right. With the addition of senior and junior brother Wang Xian, our chances of capturing some wild beasts will increase significantly. Third senior sister said. Since senior brother Wang Xian is joining us, let's head deeper into the thunder net? What do you think? A middle-aged man suggested with a smile. Lightning net is fine too. There are more desolate beasts active there. Let's go. Third senior sister pondered for a moment before nodding her head. Let's go, senior brother Wang Xian. Summon your thundercloud vulture. Lei Jingyun nodded his head and said to Wang Xian. Chirp chirp. Wang Xian smiled and waved his arm. The thundercloud vulture appeared in front of him. I'm so envious. When can I have a thundercloud vulture as my own? As Lei Jingyun spoke, his expression was filled with envy. The surrounding disciples were also envious. The potential of the thundercloud vulture was similar to the Thunder Ray race. If it was fed well, its strength would be similar to theirs. It was equivalent to having a strong comrade. Let's go. The group of them smiled and flew straight ahead. Lei Jingyun and the group were clearly familiar with the situation here. Wang Xian followed them and looked around. The weakest among them was at least a level 3 universe venerable. The strongest was third senior sister, who had the strength of a level 7 universe venerable. They flew for a full 2 days before they reached the thunder net that they mentioned. Thunder net was what the Thunder Ray race called it. The entire thundercloud, as well as the area below, was filled with dense thunderbolts. These thunderbolts intertwined and formed a world of thunderbolts. There were strong and weak thunderbolts. The strong ones could match the attack of a universe venerable. Everyone be careful. We will split up and move forward in pairs. Once we discover anything, inform us immediately. The third senior sister glanced at the crowd and instructed. In that case, I'll go with senior brother Wang Xian. He's strong and has a war pet. Lei Jingyun said immediately. Sure. Third senior sister nodded her head. The other dozen people also formed groups of two. The stronger ones would carry the weaker ones. Let's go this way. Lei Jingyun moved her palm and a thunderbolt needle appeared in front of her. She looked at Wang Xian and said, Wang Xian nodded his head. He looked at the needle in front of her and asked curiously, What kind of treasure is this needle? This is called a lightning compass. It can sense experts in the surrounding thunderbolts. If there are wild beasts, it can also detect them. It's a very practical treasure. When our disciples come out, we can apply for it from our race. Lei Jingyun introduced to Wang Xian. Oh. Wang Xian nodded his head. Let's go. Our Thunderlight race is still very powerful. We even have innate spiritual treasures. Lei Jingyun said proudly. Innate spiritual treasure? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and followed her as they flew forward. The lightning compass could help the disciples of the Thunderlight race avoid danger. However, there weren't many of such treasures in the Thunderlight race. Wang Xian followed beside Lei Jingyun and flew forward while scanning the surroundings. Days passed. Soon, half a month had passed and they hadn't encountered a single wild beast. The entire area covered by the thunderclouds was too vast. Even if Wang Xian unleashed his full strength, he would still need more than 100 years to fly from one side to the other. Brothers, we found a wild beast over here. Soon, a voice sounded in the minds of Wang Xian and the rest. Huh! Wang Xian was taken aback and immediately looked to the right. We found it. I wonder if it's the thundercloud vulture. Senior brother Wang Xian, we'll be counting on you later. Lei Jingyun's face was full of excitement as he spoke. He immediately flew to the right. Wang Xian made a move and flew over. On the right, two middle-aged men found a wild beast. The rest of the disciples also rushed over quickly. In front, there are two three-tailed thunder foxes. Their strength should be around level 4 universe supremacy. Wang Xian and the rest rushed over. A middle-aged man pointed to the front and said, You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.